Okay, we are back live with another Between the Pages book chat, and today we have sci-fi author S.E. Anderson here with us to talk about her Starstruck series. So I'm going to turn it over to her now and let her introduce herself. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Sarah, or S.E. Anderson, and I am in France right now writing about young people in space. So this is Starstruck. It's the first of a 6-book series, the 7th coming out in March. And it follows the adventures of Sally Weber, who's just a normal young woman who is just trying to get through life. And she runs an alien over with her car, which just makes things a whole lot harder. And so this series follows her adventures, more misadventures, and it's pretty funny if I do say so myself. And so if you're looking for something that's in the style of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy meets Doctor Who, then this is what you get with Starstruck.
Okay, so tell us a little more about the series. What I know there's kind of a romance in it as well.
Oh yeah, but talk about slow burn. I mean, things keep going. I keep you guys going. Yeah, so the main character, Sally, and the alien she runs over with her car, create a nice relationship. And it starts off as a good friendship because I really want to explore, the relationships that aren't like enemies to lovers, which is a great trope, but not for me. And I just really wanted to explore what it's like for these two people from completely different backgrounds. I mean, one's not even from Earth. Just getting a friendship and just having that kind of relationship before they dive into something a little bit more exciting. But friendship can be quite exciting, especially when you're off saving the world. So,
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the main characters. What are they like?
Well, so Sally is, she has a bit of trouble because in the first book, she has just dropped out of college. She doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life. She's going through depression and doesn't really know how to deal with that. She has a lot of, if you could say, issues. She's got a lot of anxiety, and it's a struggle that a lot of people and a lot of young people have, especially when they're thrown out into the world and they don't really know what they want to do with their lives, and there's all this pressure to make these big decisions when you're that young and without much life experience. So she's just the typical young person trying to make her way through the world. And then you got Xander, who is not of this world. He's an alien. He's been around for who knows how long. He's been to how many planets? Nobody knows. And he just thinks Earth is just so much fun. He is so excited to experience that culture, to watch TV, because TV is like the best, and also save the world a little bit of times because we get in a lot of messes. So these two people are just completely different, but they share one thing. It's this passion for life and living and saving the world. So they get together and they get along. But then you have Xander's sister, Blade, who is a little rough around the edges, to say the least. She looks like a young woman, but she's been beating people up for longer than any of us have been alive. And she has a lot to say and a lot she does not like. So basically, the eternal party pooper. And she is involved, and you meet her towards the end of the book, and she's around for the rest of the series. One of my favorite characters to write. She's just pretty funny. A lot of sass, just sass incarnate.
Cool. So the first book, from what I understand, takes place on Earth, but in the rest of the series, you go out into space. So tell us a little bit about the world building.
Ooh, that's so much fun. I just like picking up on ideas and just running with them, and I like being able to stretch them out over an entire book. So each of the books in the series, they're all standalones. I mean, they're their own small adventure within the Starstruck universe with the same characters. It's best to read them in order because there is the whole emotional background that goes on. But each story, start, finish, you have the villain or the conflict, and it ends by the end. And the second book takes place entirely on a different planet, and the third on a spaceship. I mean, we go and explore all these places that I personally have always wanted to go and explore. But of course, the universe is as chaotic as it can be. I mean, we just got to take a look at that entropy, and we have anything that could happen does happen.
Okay, so tell us a bit about some of the aliens that are out there in your series.
Oh, okay. So Xander and Blade, who look pretty human, act pretty normal. Let's see, who do we meet early on? Because I don't want to give it much away. One of my favorite characters is in the third book. He's an android named 2, and he has had a religious moment, and has basically believes in a deity and wants all of us to believe in it too. Who knows where in his programming it went wrong, but he is very, very engaged in getting us all to be believers and true believers in his Durzan, who no one exactly knows where that came from. We've got Sekai, who basically looks like what we call a gray here on Earth, for those who are like UFOs and classic aliens. And you'll learn through like the first and second book why we see aliens like that as such classic cultural, what do you call them, milestones? No, just we're so used to seeing these aliens here on Earth, and you'll learn why. Who else is there? There's Median, who pops up in like book 6. I'm afraid of giving too much away, because the alien characters are some of my favorites to come up with. And if I give away their twists and turns, you guys will it will ruin the surprise.
Okay, so yeah, we don't want spoilers, just teases.
Right, okay. In the first book, you have got some alien mercenaries who, they have a penchant for the television shows that we like, which makes them pretty easy to defeat if you get them distracted properly. You've also got a lot of aliens masquerading as humans because it's just easier to get by on Earth like that, but they tend to try to take advantage of their position and all the things that they can do with their extra abilities and stuff. There's just so many characters. That's the thing. I don't know where to start to tell you guys about these characters.
So it sounds like you've got a very rich world to read. So that sounds interesting.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about some of the conflicts that they're going to come across.
Well, in each of the books, you've got the personal conflict, Sally trying to realize something about herself, and also some life-saving life crises here. In the first book, you don't really realize what the big conflict is until the big twist at the end. That's probably a spoil right there. The second one, you have got all the crazy mob relations going on in this like infinite city, where social class is literally dictated by how high up you live in the apartment buildings, because it's just a mega city where there's no ground anymore. It just keeps on going up, up, and up. So Sally gets to meet the mob. She gets to meet the president/mayor, because when an entire planet is one city, they kind of become fused as a role. You've also got all the people who actually live on the ground floor, which does exist, though many people deny that it actually exists. So you've got all these conflicts layer by layer, and then how they worked in between. And Sally's going to have to save this city without realizing that it's in turmoil to begin with, because none of these layers are talking to each other. So I loved exploring that one. The third one, now I'm going to give this away because the twist is not right away. They end up on a ship, and they're very excited to be on this ship because it is a flagship of the entire alliance, which is this alien, basically conglomeration of planets that get along together. It's an alliance. And so this flagship has been on everybody's TV screens for years. It's used as propaganda to get people to join the fleet. And they learn pretty much right away that all of these heroes are actually just actors. And then they've got to go save the actors from some pretty crazy real life stuff that is happening to them. So you've got this Murder on the Orient Express meets Galaxy Quest in space, of course. That's one of my favorite ones to write, and I think you guys are going to really like it. It's got some crashed into planets. It's got some monster aliens, some really big beasts, because for once you got to get some beasts going, and a lot of divas who really do not like being put into the real life situations that they used to play on TV. So I think you guys are going to like that one. I hope you guys like the whole series.
Okay, so what was the hardest scene or type of scene for you to write in the series?
I think the emotional ones between characters, because I really wanted them to get along and to get together, but you got to build that whole relationship up. And it's hard to stay true to human nature if you're writing characters who aren't human. So trying to understand how to write these relationships, and not just the dialogue between them, but just the way that people in the grandest terms interact with each other. with these motivations that come from a completely different upbringing. You've got nature versus nurture, but what is nature in something that we can't possibly imagine? So trying to bring this all together, stay coherent and funny, because it has to be humorous at the same time. That's been a hard balance to write, but it's fun. And that's why I write these books. I like to challenge myself. And hopefully that makes for a more enjoyable read and for a more realistic relationship, even if everything is chaotic and the characters aren't even human.
Well, that sounds like a challenge and a interesting one. So what is your favorite scene or type of scene that you wrote in the series?
The crazy ones. I like it when I get to write a crazy, chaotic character and just have them exist and how the other characters try to react around them. I like that android who's trying to convert everyone to his religion. That was so much fun to write because they still need to get a job done. They can't completely alienate him. So they have to go in with this android madness and just go along with it. And it's just, that was so much fun to write. And like going back when I was editing and just being able to put in more jokes and just, he was such a fun character to write. And I want more characters like that. So trying to come up with characters that live up to my own expectations of what I want them to be is a little bit hard, but so much fun. I just love writing silly characters and just playing with that kind of chaos.
Okay, so do you have any secondary characters that are a little quirky or steal scenes from your main characters?
All the time. I want to have all these like emotional relationship scenes between Sally and Xander, but then the sister just pops up and she's like, hey, let's go beat these people up instead. She just is always there. And I love writing her. And I think if I were ever to write a spinoff, I would focus on her point of view because she is just completely whack.
Okay, so which one of your characters would you like to hang out with in real life?
Oh, Xander, definitely. He has this just love of life that I'm sure that if I were to meet him in real life, he'd make me appreciate things around me a lot more. And we'd just have a lot of fun. He's just a fun-loving person with a lot of heart. And I feel like he'd be a really enjoyable just hang.
Do you have a favorite character?
Oh, no, I just, the trio, I just adore them. And I would love to keep writing like an infinity of books about them just because they're fun people and they've been in my head for so long that like, if I were to say I had a favorite, I'm pretty sure that it's a disrespect to these people. They're not real. They're not even real, but they've been sitting in my head for so long that it just feels that way. And it's tough to pick favorites if they're like your character kids.
Okay, so what are your characters afraid of?
Great question. Sally's just afraid of not finding purpose. She wants to be able to make a mark on the world, but is afraid she's holding herself back, but then not knowing what to do when nothing holds her back. So that constant play in her head is really fun to write and a little bit hard. Xander's afraid of clowns, or at least he says he is. And Blade is also afraid of genuine human connection. It's something that she closes herself off to, which makes her seem rather cold. And of course, when things start getting warm between her and anybody else, she shuts that down because she's just not sure how to deal with that kind of thing. I think she's just afraid of letting people down.
Interesting. So you write sci-fi, of course, but are there any other genres that you've dabbled in or would like to dabble in?
Well, just this summer, I released my first young adult contemporary novel. This is X Marks the Spot. And it's based on real life experiences I had growing up as an American in Provence. So just being this weird bicultural kid who doesn't fit in either in America or in France. I'm too French to be American and too American to be French. And I translated that into a young adult contemporary novel. And it's short and sweet. And it's my love letter to Provence that basically was a place that took me in. And I might not be fully French, but I feel like I'm from Provence. So that's my love letter to all the places I love. And actually everything in this book, except the treasure hunt that ties it together, everything that happened was something real that happened to me or to one of my friends. So it's as realistic as you can get, except that there's a treasure hunt. So,
well, treasure hunts always make things better. So
suspend your disbelief for those.
Okay, so I think we'll wrap it up here, and I want to thank you for being a guest today. It was lovely talking to you. And why don't you tell the viewers where they can find you and your books?
Well, you can find me on my website, seandersonauthor.com. I'm also very, very active on Instagram. I'm read recommendations, like recommendations, but with the word read. And I'm always there talking about books, and not just my books, a lot of other books that I love. I have a little obsession with collecting special editions, which you'll see a lot of there. And if you want to buy my books, Amazon's the easiest place to do it. Or because I'm in France and have international media mail shipping, you can order signed copies straight from me just by messaging me. And flat rate shipping to the entire world is pretty great.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Considering, yeah, I struggle with the Canadian postal system quite a bit in their pricing, but yeah, that would be nice. Anyway, so again, thank you for being here. And Between the Pages book chat, we'll be back tomorrow with C.L. Gaber. I hope I pronounced that right. And we'll be talking fantasy and her series Ascension. So join us then. Bye for now.
Thanks for having me. Bye.